Penn State football is doing their preventative maintenance that they always do at the end of August, middle of August, which is get players for the class of 2027, the year ahead, so that they can build a strong core heading into the season, and then, of course, into the following year once everything settles with the class of 2026. And they've done that again. I'm Thomas Frank Carr. Sean Fitz back here on the BWI YouTube channel. Fitz, always great to have you here. Glad to have you back. We're here to talk about the latest Nittany Lion in the class of 2027. So, Fitz, who are we talking about today?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Penn State trying to get in early, because I think they're going to try and do that with 2027 after watching 2026 and how that played out over the summer. I think that you've got to look at this class and see that Penn State's going to, try and throw numbers at it, try and throw numbers specifically in state. And they did that on Monday afternoon by picking up a commitment from Imani Christian Academy athlete Gabe Jenkins. Of course, Imani Christian, no stranger to Penn State. Dayshawun Burnett, who is currently a freshman with the Nittany Lions as a defensive end, came out of that school, I guess, just last class. It seems like longer ago than that. And then David Davis is also committed to Penn State in the class of 2026. So Gabe Jenkins joining former teammates by jumping on board with the Nittany Lions and giving Penn State another commitment, a fourth commitment in the class of 2027.
Yeah, 3 commitments from Imani Christian, 3 years in a row, all of them labeled as athlete. If you saw the rankings graphic we overhead over there, listed as a linebacker, previously was seen as a linebacker, but Fitz, that's not necessarily his path going forward. So what do we know about Gabe Jenkins as the third athlete from Imani Christian in 3 years?
When you take a look at the Imani kids, they are much better. If you look at their schedule, they're much more athletic, much better than their competition, right? Like you look at those David Davis running by guys, or Dayshawun Burnett playing tight end and just doing a fantastic job playing tight end, a fantastic job enough for people to ask, is he going to be a tight end at Penn State? Which, that's a pretty high bar to clear. So you look at these guys and they scream athlete. I mean, Burnett was originally a linebacker, moved down to defensive end. He came in, he ran I think off the top of my head, a 4.53 in the spring. Like, that is pretty unbelievable when you think about what he was like as a prospect and how much development he has ahead of him. So you look at that defensive end class, and that's neither here nor there, but man, that's something special right there. And then you get to David Davis, who I think is a traits guy. I think you look at, he came in at Penn State and ran a 4.4 prior to his sophomore season. And it kind of pops. And he is one of those other guys. He's listed as a corner. He's probably going to play safety. Maybe he can play running back. I don't know. So you look at these guys and they all have this similar sort of, not build, but similar sort of framework as a prospect. And I don't think Gabe Jenkins is any different. Lists himself as a corner. We list him as a linebacker. He might be a safety. Like, it might be a situation where he does not outgrow the position. We have him at a verified just under 6'1", 190. And I think that he can grow into a linebacker. He's the number 11 linebacker nationally by the Rivals industry rankings, number 8 in PA, number 226 overall. And you go over to the Rivals rankings, he's a high 3-star, number 20 linebacker overall, number 13 in Pennsylvania. But you've got so much development left ahead of these Imani guys. And that's the exciting part, because they've come in and they've proven that the athletic abilities that they've showed on tape and the athletic abilities that they show in their future can pop. And I think that that's what's exciting about these guys.
Yeah, between Imani Christian and 210 Strength and Training Academy over in Pittsburgh, there is a football factory over on the west side of the state that has these guys that are young, athletic, and then they can develop into whatever a school might need of them. And it's a very interesting thing. And you watch the highlights from Gabe Jenkins. We talk about David Davis. A lot of these things actually play together in terms of their stories intertwining. David Davis committing to Penn State, but he was injured last year, so Gabe Jenkins played a lot of running back, and we'll put the highlights up for you now. Did a really good job as a running back. These are his defensive highlights, Fits. So when it comes to how he fits, the answer again is we'll find. But I was running this up when I was watching some of the full game highlights. What you see here from him, there's a lot of athleticism and coverage as well. So when it comes to these Imani Christian guys and for Gabe Jenkins, what are you looking for, I guess, in the interim before he joins Penn State as an early enrollee heading into his junior season, in terms of indications of what you think he might bring to the table and how he fits into the class of 2027?
Well, I love that you mentioned that he played running back, because Imani sometimes just, skips the middleman and gets the quarterback out of there. And he's been a wildcat
Yeah.
quarterback that kind of takes a snap and goes, and that's what we saw from David Davis last year as well. So, I mean, I'd like to see continued production. He's done a really good job. I think he ran for over 1,300 yards last year. And that was a spot where I don't think he was the feature guy going in. There was a bunch of talent out there, of course, and they try to, balance some things out. But Jenkins just kind of took over. And I think he's one of those guys that you look at the high school field, and he's usually the most athletic guy, the most dominant guy out there. And like I said, when those numbers match up, 6'1", he's got some decent length to him, not like an edge length or anything like that, but he's got some decent length to him. He's going to grow into eventually what he's going to be, and you just kind of let nature take course. And what I'd like to see from him is continued physical development, continue to get faster. I mean, we've got some numbers on him, but they're pretty old. But just based on that, he's got some really good short area quickness. He shows some balance on the film. He shows a lot of really good things that you could transfer to a Big Ten secondary, which is probably where we think we end up, or maybe even be one of those hybrid guys. I mean, if he's got the skills to sit down, and I guess they're calling it the nickel now, but it was the Lion. It's been so many, the star and all that kind of stuff. You could be one of those in between guys, but you just turn on the tape and he's kind of popping all over the place. So excited to get an ad there. Excited to get another ad in Western Pennsylvania. You got 4 commits in the 2027 class. 3 of them from Western Pennsylvania. So I think that's kind of indicative of how Penn State has approached this class and has approached the in-state sort of overflow that you see there. Sorry, I'm a little rusty on this. I haven't been on the mic in a while, but Keemon Spell committed at McKeesport. Khalil Taylor committed as well. So now all of a sudden, Penn State has been able to get what they've wanted to get in Pittsburgh, and they're going to continue to do that. And I'm trying to workshop something in my head. There's certain spots that are labeled as recession proof, right? Like in the economy and everything like that, where you're kind of in a bubble. Right now, Pittsburgh has kind of been that bubble for Penn State. Like Penn State has struggled in certain areas, struggled in Philly, struggled, with the LaSalle kids and everything this cycle. But they keep going back to Pittsburgh. Terry Smith keeps popping up in Pittsburgh and getting the guys that they want to get. Now they're going to have to hold on to Spell. They're going to have to hold on to Taylor. And, those guys, specifically Spell, have mentioned taking other visits. But at the same time, if there's enough of a feeling there and there's enough camaraderie there, I'm texting with Keemon Spell this at this moment, and he's saying, yes, I'm close with Gabe Jenkins. He's a good player, all this kind of stuff. If you get all that camaraderie, it's going to make everyone feel better, and you're going to feel better about how this class continues to grow.
Yeah, trying to knit together all of those players from Pittsburgh that we've talked about, and build that 2027 class with a core from a stable area. I've dug into the full game footage. I've got a Cliff Notes version of our film room coming up over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com in just one moment. But first, look at that, Fitz. I'm not rusty in terms of been on here in a while. Still a little bit rough here. We have to get to our sponsor for today's show, AJ Freedom Financial. In football and in finance, having a strong game plan makes all the difference. AJ Freedom Financial helps individuals build personalized financial strategies that align with their goals, timelines, and risk tolerance. From investment guidance and retirement planning to 401k rollovers, HSA assistance, and legacy and wealth strategies, AJ Freedom Financial offers thoughtful, one-on-one support backed by industry experience and a commitment to transparency. Whether you're starting to invest, planning for retirement, or you simply want a second look at your financial approach, AJ Freedom Financial is here to help you make informed, confident decisions. Schedule a no-obligation consultation today at www.ajffi.com. Call 866-383-6899 or email info@ajffi.com. Again, that's ajffi.com. Call 866-383-6899 or email info@ajffi.com. AJ Freedom Financial, helping Nittany Lions fans plan for what's next. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Gradient Securities, LLC. Arden Hills, Minnesota, 866-991-1539. Member FINRA, SIPC. Gradient Securities, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor offers investment advisory services under the DBA of Gradient Wealth Management. Gradient Securities, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting services. Insurance products and services offered through AJ Freedom Financial. AJ Freedom Financial and Freedom Financial Insurance, LLC are not affiliated with Gradient Securities, LLC. It always works out when I'm wearing the same shirt. That always
I
looks
was
way
just
better.
wondering because you popped up on the screen and you were in the same shirt, and I was just like, "Is this live?" And then I, kind of figured out with the motor mouth, the Micro Machines man voice there, that it wasn't. But no,
I
this
just
is
nailed
it's
it.
pretty cool. Yeah, yeah.
I
But
just
we do
nailed it. I
appreciate.
was just that fast.
Yes. So we do appreciate their support though, definitely.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Gabe Jenkins here to end in terms of his translation to Penn State from a traits perspective, and then I want to get again kind of talk about the class of 2027. Although I think you did cover that before on the first half of the video. But the thing that I found most watching his highlights and truthfully, only got through a couple of games, not through like 4 like I normally get to, but I got a good cross section. Played a couple teams in triple option situations. Played a team where he was playing a lot of deep free safety. He plays the strong safety for Imani Christian. So that already makes you feel like when he's closer to the box, he's going to be a guy that's playing, I guess in their system, it's more of I would say it's kind of a man coverage centric quarters where he's playing a lot of man coverage in the slot. So he's getting a lot of versatility in his profile as far as different types of coverage in the secondary. And his biggest trait is his ball skills. So for a guy that we think is going to be a linebacker, Fitz, how much did I love Kari Nelson as a former high school corner that transitioned to linebacker, got those safety corner skills? I'm all about that. So if he turns into a linebacker, I think that's as good as some, like you mentioned earlier, his ability to play in some of those situations in underneath coverage. That is one area where we don't see a lot of that from him in high school. So that would be a projection to the next level of what can he do? What are the things left for us to learn about him? Doesn't play in the box a whole lot, but when he does, looks comfortable, looks good. Seems like a guy that has a really good football IQ. There's not a situation in which he shows some hesitancy or maybe he doesn't understand what's going on. There is one highlight here where they were running a switch against a certain route that got him confused, but later on in a different game, they're again running a switch in man coverage and he's able to break on a pass and get a PBU. So this is a guy who I think has some advanced skills as a coverage player, and then he's got the size to play in the box. He's got the physicality as a running back, great tackle breaker on offense and on special teams. Kick return presence for Imani Christian, playing both of the punt and kick return positions. So, if it's how it is with best athlete on the field, you want to put on kick and punt return. And for a guy who does that with the understanding of the athletes that Imani Christian has, I think that says a lot about what he can be. So, in a certain way, I think he's a 3-position sort of projection, just like the other guys we're talking about with David Davis. He could play either safety position or develop into a linebacker. I think, in terms of guys you want to take early and you're going to bet on, the development is there, the position versatility, how he develops, it doesn't feel like you're going to go wrong in this situation. So if you want more details over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com, you can check out T-Frank's film room. You can check out Fitz's and Ryan's breakdowns of the class and, of course, I keep wanting to say David Davis because we've been talking about him so much, but of course of Gabe Jenkins for just $1 over at BlueWhiteIllustrated.com. You can sign up right now for just $1, get access for a week, get that information, also get access about camp, all the things like that. Okay, so Fitz, as we get out of here, what are your roadmaps of what you're looking for with the class of 2027 overall? With now 4 players in the class, and what you think they need to get accomplished before the season starts or leading into that first game against Nevada.
Yeah, I'll just start with some closing stuff on Gabe Jenkins. I think you kind of touched on this, but his offensive skill set and what he does on the offensive side of the ball really looks like it can translate to the defensive side of the ball, like where we project him. Like it's one of those guys that, yeah, he plays defense here, but he's a rover. I mean, he's a rover on offense. He's a rover on defense. He's a rover on special teams. Yeah. That's what happens when you're one of the best athletes on the field all the time. But I think a lot of the things that he does with the balance, with the change of direction, does lend itself well to projecting him as a safety, a potential linebacker. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. But yeah, Penn State going to try and make another run at it in 2027 and has started really well in state. I think that's got to be the focus here. When you take a look at the way that Penn State is recruited in this era, you kind of start at home and you got to go through that. And you got the big win with Andrew Olish last year, and you've got some really good guys in the class of 2026 from Pennsylvania that are committed, not yet signed, but committed. Yeah, I think you're going to continue to sort of hammer that home. I think it's a strong class. In Pennsylvania and sort of that ripple beyond. So Jersey, Maryland, Virginia, try and be strong in that center. What we've noticed in this NIL era is some of the things are coming back and being a little bit more regional. You take a look at the the vast majority of Penn State's class, and there's no more Florida guys, there's no more guys that are just kind of random additions aside from Ireland, of course. But you've got a different makeup here, and I think that the way that everything is working right now is bringing guys back closer to home. We've seen it in the transfer portal. I think we're going to start to see more of it in recruiting moving forward. So Penn State still has to be strong with their, I guess, for lack of a better term, bidding and figuring out where they stand in the NIL game and valuations really and how that stands. But at the same time, the way to do it is to build up front like they did in the class of 2026, have a good base moving into those official visits, and you can swing once again at your top targets. Not that, any of these guys that are committed aren't top targets. They certainly are. But you continue to sort of take this method and see that it tries to work again. And, hopefully there's more luck next summer as we're talking about the class of 2027.
Yeah. And part of the conversation about Penn State's recruiting strategy is just remember in the fever pitch of June, when all these things are going down next year, just remember, we think Gabe Jenkins is a good football player and is in this class right now. Made that decision this August. So
they're going to forget about him by then. It's going to be the shiny new guy that's out there taking official visits. And, and actually, that's going to be tough to forget about Keymont Spell because he is so darn good. But I mean, that's very important, is to surround these guys with like-minded individuals. These guys all know each other. These guys train together, and especially in Pittsburgh. And Penn State is still the top dog in Pittsburgh until otherwise stated. So I'm excited to see that continue to try and build itself out.
All right. Well, I don't have anything to predict right now, but just based on the evidence of what's happened in history, keep your eyes peeled. Penn State might not be done here in August, or there might be some things popping up from the recruiting side of stuff. Of course, we're hot and heavy into the football season. It's game week next week. If you're watching this as it came out on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of August 18th, we're almost there. Penn State football's on the horizon. James Franklin press conferences, highlights, information, live shows, all of it right here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe here, like the video. We will be back with more talk and conversation and news, all that here on the Blue White Illustrated YouTube channel as we cover Penn State football and recruiting.